In 2003, a French yachtsman named Olivier de Kersauson experienced nightmare when a mysterious creature trapped his vessel in the middle of the ocean. He described it as having glistening skin, long arms covered in suckers, and a body nearly 30 feet long. It like a living nightmare drawn by H.R. Giger. Scientists think it was probably Architeuthis ducks, the animal better known as the giant squid. The giant squid is considered one of the largest invertebrates on Earth. Experts still debate its full size. Reports suggest it can reach about 65 feet from head to the tip of its tentacles, roughly twice the length of a typical yellow school bus. Now, we're going to descend through every major ocean zone, starting from the sunlit shallows and working our way down to the pitch-black abyss. At each level, I'll show you how squids evolve increasingly terrifying features to survive. We'll encounter squids with human-like teeth, and squids so massive they inspired legends of sea monsters that could sink ships. This is the reef squid, and it lives in the epipelagic zone. Even within this zone, as you approach the 200-meter mark, you start to see the first hints of what's to come. Squids begin developing traits that seem a bit unusual. Some species start to produce their own light through bioluminescence. The Firefly squid is a perfect example of this transition. These small squids live at the boundary between the sunlight zone and what comes next. They've covered their bodies in thousands of tiny, light-producing organs called photophores. At night, they rise toward the surface to feed, creating spectacular light shows in the water. But during the day, they descend back down into darker waters. They're living in two worlds, and their bodies reflect that duality. Then there are glass squids, which take a completely different approach to this transitional zone. Instead of producing light, they've made themselves nearly invisible by turning transparent. Their entire bodies, except for a few internal organs, are see-through. It's an incredibly effective camouflage strategy when you're caught between light and dark. But while these adaptations are definitely strange, they're not what I'd call creepy yet. That's about to change as we descend deeper. Now we're entering the Mesopelagic zone, also called the Twilight Zone, which extends from 200 meters down to about 1,000 meters. This is where sunlight becomes so faint. The domain of the Humboldt Squid, also known as the Red Devil of the Sea. These creatures are the first squids we've encountered that are legitimately aggressive toward humans. They grow over 6 feet long and can weigh up to 100 pounds of pure muscle. Humboldt squids are hyper-aggressive pack hunters. They flash red and white patterns across their skin to communicate with each other mid-hunt, working together to surround and overwhelm prey. They're cannibalistic. When food is scarce, they don't hesitate to attack and eat weaker members of their own species. Their tentacles are lined with these barbed hooks that rotate inward, making it nearly impossible for prey to escape once grabbed. And they're fast. Humboldt squids can swim up to 25 miles per hour using jet propulsion. This is where the deep sea begins to creepify them, twisting their bodies and behaviors into something more aggressive, more dangerous, more alien. And we're only at 1,000 meters deep. We still have thousands of meters to go. Keep descending. We're now entering the Bathypelagic zone, better known as the Midnight Zone, which extends from 1,000 meters down to 4,000 meters. At this depth, there is absolutely zero sunlight. This is where squids have been fully deformed by evolution. Let me introduce you to the Promachoteuthis, the squid with human teeth. When scientists first pulled up a specimen of this squid, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. Instead of the typical squid beak surrounded by smooth tissue, This creature appeared to have a mouthful of human-like teeth. The image is so unsettling that it's become infamous online. The stuff of nightmares and creepy pasta stories. They're not true teeth made of enamel like ours. They're actually folded lips of soft tissue that surround the squid's beak. The Promachoteuthis is extremely rare. Only one specimen has ever been caught, and it was barely an inch long. Part of the reason we haven't found more is because of how difficult it is to explore these depths. Things are about to get even scarier. If you like this video, give it a like so YouTube can recommend it to even more people. And if you're watching on your phone, don't forget to tap the hype button down below. You know, part of why we have not discovered more is because it is difficult for us to locate animals that live so far down in the ocean. However, these squids are extremely uncommon in general. On the other extreme of the size range in this area is the world's longest squid, known as the Giant Squid, the legendary creature that inspired countless tales of sea monsters and krakens. The Giant Squid lives in the Mesopelagic zone, often called the Twilight Zone of the ocean. The Giant Squid is the most blatant example of deep-sea gigantism in action. These creatures can grow up to 45 feet long from head to tentacle tip, although the true maximum size is still unknown because we've found so few specimens. They have the largest eyes in the entire animal kingdom, bigger than dinner plates, evolved specifically to capture every possible photon of light in the darkness. Their eyes are so large that they can detect the bioluminescent trails left by prey or the silhouettes of predators against the faint light from above. They have a huge mantle packed with muscle for powerful jet propulsion. They have 8 arms and 2 longer tentacles, all lined with hundreds of suction cups. Each one is ringed with sharp teeth that can grip and hold on to struggling prey. And at the center of all those arms is a beak made of chitin, harder than most metals. Giant squids are apex predators of the midnight zone. They hunt fish, smaller squids, and pretty much anything else they can catch. And while they typically avoid humans because we don't venture into their territory, there have been documented cases of giant squids attacking deep-sea equipment, leaving sucker marks on submarines and research vessels. For centuries, sailors told stories of krakens, massive tentacled monsters that could wrap around ships and drag them to the bottom of the sea. But here's something most people don't know. The giant squid isn't even the largest squid in the world. There's something bigger, something heavier, and to find it, we need to go even deeper. Meet the Colossal Squid, the true heavyweight champion of the deep sea. Despite their similar names and massive sizes, giant squids and colossal squids aren't even closely related. Their first shared level of classification is their order, both being part of Octopsida, the deep sea squids that live in the open ocean. Yet somehow, through completely separate evolutionary paths, both became absolute monsters. The colossal squid lives exclusively in the deepest, coldest parts of the Antarctic oceans, even deeper than giant squids. While giant squids typically inhabit the midnight zone, colossal squids venture into the abyssal zone, thousands of meters deeper where the pressure is even more extreme. And this difference in habitat explains why they evolved so differently. Giant squids achieve their size through deep-sea gigantism, the phenomenon where animals in high-pressure, low-light environments tend to grow larger. But colossal squids got an extra boost from something called polar gigantism, where animals in extremely cold water evolved to grow even bigger. They got hit with a double dose of gigantism effects, and the result is absolutely terrifying. Let's compare their bodies. Giant squids are long and sleek, built like torpedoes for speed and agility. Their tentacles extend far beyond their bodies, giving them incredible reach. An average giant squid weighs around 500 pounds, which is already massive for an invertebrate. But colossal squids are built completely differently. They're shorter in total length, but much, much heavier. The biggest colossal squids ever found weighed up to 1,300 pounds, making them by far the heaviest invertebrate on Earth with zero exceptions. The colossal squid is shaped like a tank. Where the giant squid is built for speed and pursuit, the colossal squid is built for ambush and overwhelming power. Its body is thick and robust, packed with muscle and fat to survive in the freezing Antarctic waters. And its weapons are even more terrifying than the giant squids. While giant squids have suction cups ringed with small teeth, colossal squids have rotating hooks, sharp, three-pointed hooks that can swivel 360 degrees, designed to dig deep into prey and never let go. These two squids solve the same problem, surviving in the deep ocean, in completely different ways. Giant squids evolved in temperate open oceans where prey can move fast. To survive there, they needed speed and reach. They became pursuit predators, using their long tentacles to snatch fast-moving fish and their jet propulsion to chase down anything that tried to escape. Speed and agility became their entire strategy. Colossal squids, on the other hand, evolved in the Antarctic where everything moves slower due to the extreme cold. The water is so cold that metabolisms slow down, reactions become sluggish, and fast movement becomes nearly impossible. In this environment, being quick mattered less than being powerful. Colossal squids became ambush predators, using their massive size and crushing strength to overpower prey before it could react. They don't need to chase, they just need to grab and hold on. Now, you might wonder what would happen if these two titans ever met. Would the giant squid's speed overcome the colossal squid's power? Would the colossal squid's hooks defeat the giant squid's reach? The truth is, they would never encounter each other in nature. Even though they're both deep-sea creatures, they live in completely different zones and completely different parts of the world. Giant squids inhabit the midnight zone in temperate oceans worldwide. Colossal squids live thousands of meters deeper in the abyssal zone exclusively around Antarctica. Their territories never overlap. But both of these creatures face the same predator, the sperm whale. These massive whales dive to incredible depths to hunt giant and colossal squids, and the battles that take place in the darkness are legendary. Scientists have found sperm whales with circular scars covering their heads and bodies, scars that perfectly match the suction cups and hooks of giant and colossal squids. Some whales have been found with squid beaks lodged in their flesh, evidence of fights that went badly for the whale. And occasionally, whales surface with fresh wounds, still bleeding from recent encounters. Think about what that means. Sperm whales are among the largest predators on Earth, weighing up to 45 tons. And yet squids are capable of fighting back, of leaving permanent scars, of occasionally winning these battles. That tells you everything you need to know about how dangerous these creatures are. But we're not done descending yet. Below the midnight zone lies the Epipelagic zone, better known simply as the Abyss. This zone extends from 4,000 meters down to 6,000 meters below the surface, and the darkness is absolute and eternal. There are no plants here. Photosynthesis is impossible without light. All food comes from above in the form of marine snow, the constant gentle rain of dead organisms, fecal matter, and organic debris falling from the zones above. It takes weeks for this material to drift down from the surface, and by the time it arrives, most of the nutrition has already been consumed by creatures in the zones above. Life in the abyss survives on scraps and leftovers. And yet, squids live here too. Let me introduce you to Asperoteuthis, Acanthoderma. one of the strangest squids ever discovered. This creature is insanely thin, but insanely long, reaching up to 15 feet in length, but with a body diameter of just a few inches. It looks less like a squid and more like a collection of tentacles attached to a tiny body. And it's almost entirely gelatinous, with barely any solid tissue at all. Its body is so soft and delicate that bringing specimens to the surface usually destroys them. The pressure change causes their bodies to essentially fall apart. Asperoteuthis Acanthoderma doesn't actively hunt. It can't. It doesn't have the energy or the muscle mass for pursuit. Instead, it drifts through the water with its long, thin arms trailing behind it like fishing lines. Scientists believe it can sense vibrations in the water, detecting the movement of small prey animals. When something touches one of those trailing arms, the squid slowly, almost lazily, pulls the arm in and consumes whatever it caught. We don't know much about this squid because of how deep it lives and how fragile it is. Every specimen we've recovered has been damaged or incomplete. We don't know how it reproduces, how long it lives, or even how common it is. It exists in a world so remote and so hostile that studying it is nearly impossible. And that's terrifying in its own way. Not because the creature itself is scary, but because it represents how little we truly know about the deep ocean. There are other squids in the abyss that we know even less about. The Dana octopus squid, for example, is short and wide, reaching weights of around 350 pounds. It has large fins and powerful arms, suggesting it might be a more active hunter than other abyssal squids. But we've only ever seen a handful of specimens, and most of what we know about it is speculation based on its anatomy. Then there's the robust clubhook squid, which can reach around 13 feet long and has massive hooks on its tentacles. It's nowhere near as large as giant or colossal squids, but you can clearly see the effects of gigantism starting to take hold. It's bigger and more robust than squids from shallower zones, adapted to the extreme conditions of the abyss. How many species are down there that we've never seen? How many creatures exist in the abyss that are even larger, even stranger, even more terrifying than anything we've discovered so far? We live on a world where the vast majority of habitable space is underwater, and the vast majority of that underwater space is deep ocean. We're land creatures living on the thin shell of a water world, and we've barely begun to explore what lies beneath. Every time we send submersibles to the deep ocean, we discover new species. Which of these deep sea squids do you find most terrifying? Is it the pack-hunting Humboldt squid that could actually attack you in the water? The giant squid with its massive size and legendary status? Or the colossal squid, the true monster of the Antarctic depths? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this journey into the abyss as fascinating and terrifying as I did, make sure you're subscribed, because next week, I'm diving into another deep sea mystery that will change how you think about the ocean forever. Did you like this video? Don't forget to hit the bell, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. And remember, the deeper you look, the stranger it gets.